Good morning, Year 2. Today in our English lesson, we are still focusing on the story, Sammy the Street Dog. And today, we are going to be answering some questions all about the story. And that is called making inferences. So that means we are going to have to use all our knowledge and understanding about the story to help us answer those questions. So today, Miss Billick is going to show you on one set of questions how to answer them, and then you are going to have a go yourself with a different set of questions. So let's have a look at how we need to answer them. The questions you have to answer today are based around a page from the story Sammy the Street Dog. So we will have to read this information on the page, and then we have 5 questions to answer. But today, Miss Billick is going to show you this set of questions, and then you are going to have a go at answering those afterwards. So here is another page from the story and some questions, and Miss Billick is going to show you how to answer these before it is your turn to have a go. So the first thing we need to do is read the page from the story. Sammy could hear children crying inside. Just then, the baker appeared, leading his family out onto the street, away from the fire. They stumbled out of the door, coughing because of the thick, black smoke. And from that, we have got 3 questions to answer, and we're going to have a look one by one how to use the information from the story, but also my own knowledge and understanding to answer those questions. My first question says, why do you think the children were crying? So I'm going to go back to the page from the story and just read it again. Sammy could hear children inside crying. So that first line tells me that they were inside this building. So the building is on fire. So I think the reason the children are crying is because they are stuck or trapped in a burning building. They are trying to escape. And because they are children, they are quite young, they might not understand what is happening and what is going on. So I am going to write my answer in a sentence. So next to my picture, I'm going to write number 1, and I'm going to use part of the question in my answer. So I'm answering the question. So I'm going to put, I think the children were crying, and I've got to explain. It's saying why. So I've got to explain, and I'm going to use the conjunction because. Big elephants can't always understand small elephants. I think the children were crying because they are in the burning building. You could say they are trapped in the burning building. And fires are very scary, dangerous things. So I know if I was in that building, I would be feeling very terrified, and I might be in a panic trying to find where to go and how to escape. So I'm going to talk about also how they would be feeling because it is making them cry. So I would put they would be not just scared, I'm going to use extremely terrified, because remember they are only children. Extremely terrified, and I think confused and confused. And not sure what was happening or how to get out. What was or how to get out. So it doesn't tell me how they are feeling in the story. I am using my own knowledge to answer that question. So I think the main reason they are crying is because they are trapped in the burning building. And then I'm going to use my own understanding and knowledge about if somebody were to be trapped in the building, how they would be feeling. So they would be extremely terrified and confused because they are only children and not sure what was happening or how to get out. So that is me answering the first question. I've used the information from the story, from this page, but I'm also using my own knowledge and understanding to help me as well. So that is what making inferences is. Right, so now let's move on to question number 2. Why did the baker lead his family onto the street? So I'm going to read the story again. I'm going to move on to this sentence now. Just then, the baker appeared, leading his family out onto the street, away from the fire. So I'm going to move on to my number 2. So I think the reason the baker led his family onto the street is because that was the safest place, because some of these buildings might then catch fire. So he needs to lead his family out of that burning building and onto the street because there is no fire on the street. That is the safest place for them to get to. So again, I'm going to use part of the question to answer in my sentence. So I'm going to put the baker led his family onto the street. The baker led his family onto the street, and I'm going to use that conjunction again because to explain why. So big elephants can't always understand small elephants. I should be getting really good at spelling because now with my rhyme. And that is their house, because I know Pudding Lane, I can see a sign with some bread and some sacks of flour there. So that must be the bakery, and that's where the baker lives. He must live upstairs above his bakery. So the baker led his family onto the street because their house was on fire. And it was his job to get his family out safely onto the street away from the fire. So the baker led his family out onto the street because their house was on fire and he needed to get his family out safely and away from the fire. Full stop. So I'm still remembering, even though I'm answering questions, I'm remembering my capital letters, finger spaces, and full stops. The baker led his family onto the street because their house was on fire and he needed to get his family out safely and away from the fire. Right, so now I'm going to move on to the final question, which is number 3. So again, I'm going to read the question and then use the information on the page as well as my own knowledge and understanding. What was causing the family to cough? Okay, let's read part of the page again. They stumbled out of the door, coughing because of the thick black smoke. So I can see and read here that it was the thick black smoke causing the family to cough. So again, I've got to use my question in my answer. So the capital letter, and it didn't just describe it as smoke, it was described as thick black smoke. So I've noticed that's an expanded noun phrase from my learning a couple of weeks ago. The thick black smoke was causing the family to cough. And the reason that there was lots of smoke was because their house was on fire and they were trying to escape out of their house. And whilst they would have been doing that, the smoke would have been filling the building and they would be trying to get out. But as they were doing that, they would have been breathing in that thick black smoke. And as that goes into our bodies and it hits our lungs, that would then start to make us cough. So that is the reason why. So the thick black smoke was causing the family to cough because, so again, using my conjunction to explain, they would have been breathing it in while they were trying to escape their house. Okay, so I have answered my 3 questions using the page from the story to help me, using the information I've been given, but also using my own knowledge and understanding. Your activity today, children, is focusing on this page from the story, and you have got 5 questions to answer, just how Miss Billick did, using the information on the page but also your own knowledge and understanding. So your first job is by yourself or with a grown-up. You are going to read this information on the page, and then you have got 5 questions to answer, and you are going to use your page like this, and you are going to answer in sentences using part of the question to help you as well. So the questions you have got to answer today, once you have read this page, is what chaos awaited them outside? Number 2, why were many buildings on fire? Number 3, why was Sammy looking for a place to hide? Number 4, how is Sammy feeling? Number 5, do you think Sammy would be scared because he is a street dog? So, once you have read this information from the page, you are going to take it one by one, answering these questions using your own knowledge and understanding as well. So boys and girls, Miss Billick has just finished showing you how to answer the questions, so making inferences. Now it is your turn to have a go. So this is the sheet that you need today. Don't worry if you can't print it off. You just try and have this in front of you and you can just write the answers on some paper. Or you can answer the questions on your computer and send that over to your teacher. So children, we can't wait to see your questions that you have answered, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!